Okay, in this video I'll show you how to work with letters inside of Autocad 2004. There's many other programs that are actually better at doing letters and sign work with letters, one of those being Inkscape, which is free. Takes a little getting used to. It's a lot different than Autocad. We don't do a lot of signs with letters, so I've never really delved into the other programs, but I do know that there's others available that are a lot easier to use. I believe Inkscape will even allow you to put letters and match them automatically to a curve. So this is bare bones. To do letters inside of Autocad, you can't just use the normal drawing of text because it doesn't output as lines and arcs. So what's loaded on your computer is a separate program that runs within inside Autocad. To start that program, you type OT on the command line. First thing it's got to have is mode input 1 or 2. Leave it at 1. It defaults to 1. Just choose enter. Input text insert point. Click somewhere on the screen. Now, if you have a drawing up here that you want to put letters in, I would click somewhere else. You can always move the letters. Don't try and have the program install it exactly what we want. So we're just going to click here. Outline text height. That is in inches. For whatever reason, it's not super accurate, which isn't a big deal because we can scale it. So put something practical like 3-inch high letters. Outline text factor. That is a percentage, if you will, of width to height. Standard letters are typically 70%, so you have to play with that. It depends on what you're trying to fit in what. If it's you're doing a custom sign and it's someone's name and it's really, really long, but they don't want the sign to be any more than 18 inches or something like that, then obviously you would put an outline text factor of like 0.3, which would make very tall letters but very narrow letters. So we're going to leave it at 0.7, which is your standard type of letters. Outline text line width, just leave it at 0. We don't care about line width because just like when we're doing our drawing with lines and arcs, we're going to cut. It's irrelevant. That's just for rendering and for visual. It's irrelevant whether that's a ½ inch line on the screen or just 1 pixel wide. The plasma torch looks at the center of it. So you'll see a new program will pop up, and every font that's loaded on your computer will show up in here. So you can choose the font you want. Do be careful with that. Some fonts aren't conducive to being plasma cut. They have very small features, I guess you will. So they're okay if they're all big, but anyway, you have to play around with it. So type what you want to type in. So I'm just going to do a hello. Now, this is an unregistered program. It's free to use. It's shareware. I have tried to buy it because it's like $14.99 is all, which is it's worth its weight in it's worth $14.99. However, they're no longer in business, so you can't register it or buy it. So the one problem that you'll see when I click OK, it'll say it's unregistered. This shows up. Well, again, I advise you to try and register it. However, every time I've tried to get online, the company is no longer even in business, so I don't know how to go about registering it. You can just delete that. Alright, so now we have our hello. So, a couple of things. First of all, let's say we just wanted to put this on a border. Okay? First thing I'm going to do is I need to know the size of the border. So let's say I want to put this on a 12-inch border. I'm going to draw a line that's 12 inches long. Okay? And 1 inch, 12, and back to the start. So I want to stick these letters on here. First thing I need to do is get them a little closer to size. Alright, so I'll take this now and I'm going to scale it. I'm going to shut my snap off. And there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move these take my polar off. I'm going to move them so that they're almost touching and pretty well centered in my border. That looks good. Okay, now the hardest part of doing letters, the secret to it is, we need to attach this so it's all one path, so there's something holding these letters. Right now, if we cut this out, obviously it's going to cut a rectangle, and then it's going to cut these individual letters out. We need to connect this together and connect this and this. Alright, so the first thing we have to do is explode it. Now, the reason that is Outline Art makes this a polyline, meaning that it connects it all together. So if you click anywhere on the E, the entire E lights up. Well, it's hard to just delete that section of it when it's a polyline. Okay, so what we need to do is explode it. So you go to Modify and Explode, highlight everything, hit Enter, and it exploded them. Now we can click individual features, individual lines. So the H and the E are pretty easy. We're just going to delete the bottom, as is the L. We'll just delete those. Okay. Now you'll see that the O is made up of lines and small lines that are all connected together. Being that it's a sign and it's only it doesn't need to be that precise, I just highlight approximately like that, somewhat in the center, and just delete that. Okay. So now we have our letters are broke up, and we have open paths that we can connect to. Now we have our border here. What we want to do is break them. Now again, you don't need to be very precise, just roughly underneath. All I'm doing is repeating break, roughly underneath here to this other end, roughly there and there, there and there, and there and there. Okay. Now we can use our chamfer tool, because these are square lines, or straight lines I should say, perpendicular to each other. So we're just pulling them in. Again, this is pretty easy because it's hello. So a lot of these, 4 of these 5 letters have flat bottoms, which really speeds things up. And I think you can see what we're doing here. We're basically making an outline that is the outside of the letters. Now, here we can't use a chamfer. So what we want to do is just draw a small, the reason we can't is because this is so small, it'll probably pull it out to here, and this one out to here, and there'll be just such a tiny little tab there to hold that. So what we do is just draw a line, make sure our snap is on, zoom in so we grab the very last of the node and connect to there. Same thing here, zoom in. Boom. And yes, this is not straight, and if I were doing something mechanical that would bother me. The thing is, being a sign, that distance right there is 72 thousandths. You're cutting with plasma. Nobody's going to know whether that was at an angle or not. So, alright, so then we might want to add 2 mounting holes. So I would use this center. I just use that as a base to put my center hole. 0.25, we do a 1/4 inch hole. I want that equally spaced from the other side, so I'm going to mirror it from this midpoint. Turn my polar on, and boom. Okay, we're getting there. Now the next thing is we want to connect all those back together. The command we use for that is called pedit, polyline edit. So pedit. Select polyline or multiple. Select the whole drawing. M for multiple. Hit enter. Select the whole drawing. Hit enter. Convert lines and arcs to polylines. Yes. Enter an option. I want a J for join them. I don't need any fuzz distance because I made sure that everything's snapped together. And it says 207 segments were added to 3 polylines. So we converted all those little tiny lines, 207 segments of it. There's only 3 distinct polylines in here now. Okay. So now we can go through. See, when we grab that, we're grabbing the whole thing. Now we can go through and create some layers. Inside, outside, we can just select that, make it outside, make that inside, and that's it. So when we go to cut this, we'll cut the inside features first and then cut the outside. It all is, doesn't matter if it's a simple hello, a welcome sign, someone's name, anything. It's done exactly the same way. If you wanted to do it on a circle, it's a lot harder, but it's possible. Go like this. Now what you would do is you would take your letters. So and we'll put my name on there. Okay. Let's scale these babies up some. Oops, that was rotate. I want to scale. Like I said, it's really kind of a pain in the butt to do it with. What I usually do is start with the center. Okay, so this being easy because we only have 3 letters, the A is obviously going to be in the center. So we'll put that in the center of our circle, or as close to the center as we can get it to where it looks proper. And boom. Now we're going to take the N and move it down, and what I'm going to do is put the corner where I'd like it. Same thing with the D. Okay, now I'm going to take the N and I'm going to rotate it about that corner. You're going to do a lot of zooming in and zooming out when you do this. And it's all just a matter of playing with it and doing it and doing it and doing it. And it will become almost second nature, and you can be doing something totally in your mind, something totally different than what you're working on, and still get it to look right. So then we would do this the same exact way. We would delete our, first we need to explode it all. So now we can go through, again, the A's, the A and the N are pretty easy. The D, go ahead and delete that. I'll zoom in, get all of this, deselect our main circle. Alright, modify, break. Boom, 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 boom. Now, we can't chamfer these because this is an arc. Well, it started life as a circle, now it's just a giant arc. What you can do, though, it's kind of neat, is you can do a fillet with 0 degrees of radius. Just choose radius and 0. And you'll see that we can tie those together. Now I saved this one for last because I want to see what it looks like. Whoops. Got to make sure I select the very end of it. Alright, that went out underneath far enough because you don't want it. Sometimes they'll shoot way over to here, and then what happens is you have very little holding your letter. So there we go. Same exact as before. So now you would want to p-edit this. Multiple. Select the whole part. Convert to polylines. Yes, I want to join them. and boom. So now we can take that and layer neighbor outside. And inside. And that is it. Again, it's not difficult, it just takes some time. That's why custom signs cost more money. Somebody had to sit at the computer and do it. But that is the easiest way to get letters into AutoCAD.